Hey everybody, welcome to Steel City Fandom. Here on a Sunday night, me and Justin are talking, so we must be
Talkin Anime.
That's right, everyone's favorite show. The best show on the interwebs. Because Ken and Brock aren't on it. It's really what it is. It's not how good One Piece is, it's just because Ken and Brock aren't here.
Yeah, it's just us.
And they are big and annoying. We do need Ken's brother on an episode of Talkin Anime. Levi wants to guest star. I told him once we get caught up in Wano that we'll do like an overview kind of, and bring him in since he's a subtitled person, and we can have a good sub versus dub conversation with him.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Levi would be difficult for Levi not to spoil stuff.
Yeah, that's why we'll do it when we get caught up.
Yeah.
Or at least close enough. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we'll get in there because they are getting closer with the uploads. So currently, I am as caught up. Well, I have 2 more episodes to watch, and I'm as caught up in English dubbed Wano as can be. Justin,
which is what, 10?
No, it's 976.
Oh, that's right, 976. That's right.
They're currently on 1067, I think.
Okay.
Because it never stops. Every week it's just another one to get further behind. Especially when you stop. But I mean, it's caught up a lot. I mean, they're under 100, which for a while there they were 300 episodes behind or 400. So they make a conscious effort to get caught up on the dub a lot faster. Some people like subtitled. I just can't handle it. I need to pay attention on one. I need to hear it and then watch all the action going on. I can't read and watch the action at the same time.
Yeah, I've been watching. There's another YouTube channel that is he's in the early 400s, so he's like 300 episodes behind me. He does a reaction to 2 videos at a time. Mm-hmm. So like he watches 2 and then does a reaction video. And he's watching it in the sub version. And he'll have like, clips and stuff going on in the background while he's doing it. And I could handle it now because I've watched through it in the dub, so I know what's going on. But yeah, I don't know that I would like to watch new episodes.
Yeah, it's tough
with subtitle.
So,
I feel like I would have to watch the episode twice. Like watch it through and like really pay attention to the context the whole time, and then go back through again and just kind of watch the action.
Yeah, because it's tough. So you have finished what they call the whole Dressrosa saga, but this may be a 2-parter, as we're going to do Punk Hazzard first, which is technically part of Dressrosa's saga, and then it may go 2 parts. We're not sure because we realized inside Punk Hazzard a lot of key stuff happens that you can't just. It's shorter episodes, but there is a lot that goes on there.
Yeah,
a lot of people that are around even to this day. So
yeah, it sets up a lot for the future.
Yeah. So Punk Hazzard, this is right after Fishman Island. This island, half of it's on fire, half of it's ice. It's because maybe you want to tell us why, Justin.
Well, yeah. So you end up, and it's actually later on in the arc, but you end up finding out. The Straw Hats find out that Akainu is the new fleet commander, fleet admiral of the entire Navy, world government Navy. And that came about because he and Aokiji had a freaking massive duel on this island to figure out which one was stronger and who was going to lead the Navy. And they destroyed the entire island.
So half it's frozen, half it's on fire. And I think the Straw Hats discovered the fire side first.
Yes, yeah, they first come up to the fire volcano side.
Come across a dragon.
Well, yeah. So Nami has a new log post now that they're in the new world because apparently the old log posts don't work.
Yes, that's right.
And one of the arrows, if the arrows are pointing away from an island, it's a dangerous place and you shouldn't go there. And of course, that's exactly where Luffy wants to go.
Right.
So they come up on the Fire Island. Crew splits up. Luffy
Did they ever tell us why there was a dragon on this island? Because they come across a fire-breathing dragon that Luffy kicks its ass. And you never really found out what that dragon was there for, just like hanging out in
that's a good point.
Fiery, smoky area, which I found very funny. Yeah, there was a dragon there for no reason. I thought it was going to add more to why there was a dragon there. I don't know. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't remember if they.
But
it
was fun watching them overreact to the dragon. Luffy loves that kind of shit. Like,
absolutely.
I can fight. And it had a pair of legs sticking out of it.
Yep. And we come to find that after multi pieces later, that is Kinemon, the samurai
from Wano.
Right. So
and I guess if you didn't know anything about this show, you would have no idea when they dropped Wano. They talked about Wano a couple times before, but seeing as how we're watching this while Wano's going on, Wano's all over our social media feed.
Yes.
Like, it's on YouTube, it's on TikTok, so it's hard not to know when you see, oh, this guy's a samurai from Wano. You're kind of like, oh, that's where they're at now. That's that big fight I've been seeing and all that stuff. So I think this would have a different effect on me watching it back in 2013 when this was originally out or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, all right, Wano, who cares? But like when you hear that name, I'm like, oh shit, Wano, now we're talking Wano. Must be getting close. Not really, but I must be getting close.
Yeah. So I mean, the crew is in two halves. Luffy, Robin, Zoro, and Usopp head out to go explore the volcano side of the island, and we find out that the rest of the crew was knocked out with sleeping gas and captured by one of the villains of this arc, Caesar Clown.
Very fun name. Now let me ask you a question.
The gas fruit.
The gas fruit, amazing. When you first saw that there were a pair of just legs walking around, did it pop into your mind that had to be Law?
Not until Luffy got them off of the dragon, and then I figured out, I'm like, okay, this has got to be Law.
And he was wearing them he thought he was a centaur. He's such an idiot sometimes in this show.
It was funny though, and then he met another centaur and wanted to race him.
And then the legs were talking.
Yeah, that was the weird thing, was that the legs were talking.
Yeah.
I with everything that's going on in this show, I was ready to accept just a pair of legs. A pair of legs that talks is another story.
I didn't put it together, even though I knew who Law was. I have his action figure. It really didn't resonate with me because you didn't really get to see him do a lot of it. And then when he finally came out of that door, I was like, oh, that's Law. I was like, that's why that guy's all like body parts are all over the place. His torso's walking around with a sword. And
when I figured it out, because you actually, I believe the Nami and her crew wake up and have Kinemon's head in the cell with them.
Yes.
Before you actually see
parts of his head. Yeah.
His head's cut into 5 or 6 pieces. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, this has got to be Law.
Mm-hmm. You definitely get to see a lot more of Law's range of powers.
Yeah.
So one of the first things you get to see of him is his ability that he calls Shambles, where he can switch things.
Yes.
So he can use it in many different ways. He can switch me and you right now from where we're sitting in a room to one side of the room or the other. But in here, he actually uses it to switch hearts or souls of the body with other people, which you get a fantastic comedy, which is done so good, where everyone gets put into a different, other than Luffy and Zoro aren't part of this.
Neither is Robin.
This is just Chopper, Nami,
Sanji.
Chopper, Nami, Frankie, Sanji. It's the 4 of them.
Yes.
And as soon as I saw they were going to switch, they were in different bodies, I thought, God, Sanji better end up in Nami's body. And of course. And a part of me was so happy for him. not to be like a pervert. I'm like, Sanji, just go ahead, help yourself, man. Like, like this is your dream come true, and it's hilarious. I mean, every time he peeks down the shirt, she's punching him, and she's in Frankie's body, punching
so
a little girl.
Damage.
Yeah, which is so funny. Do you remember the scene where he's gonna go somewhere with Brooke, and he's like, "Can we look at Nami's panties when we're out there?" He's like, "We're gonna look at everything."
He's like, "Yeah, I'll take care of you."
and she's like,
she smashes both of them.
She's like, "Do you want to get killed? Say that again." And then another great part is when he's talking to Zoro, and he says something to the body. He's like, "You're never giving that body back to her, are you?" And he's like, "No chance in hell." Nope. That was so funny. And then you have Smoker and Tashigi who arrive. They switch bodies.
Yes, that's after a fight though. So when they first get there, that's when Law first comes out. They go up to Caesar's workshop or whatever the hell it is, and basically just kind of knock on the door. And Law is the one that comes out and greets them. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, "What the hell are you doing here?"
And he's a warlord at this time.
Yes, that's when Tashigi reveals that Law has become a warlord, and it's freaking brutal how he got that job. He went around and took the hearts of 100 pirates and presented them to the Navy.
So that becomes a new thing with him. Again, another example of his power is he can do this surgery thing where he puts you, Law's ability puts you inside what he calls his room. The Op-Bop fruit, he puts you in what is an operating room per se.
And you're in total control of the entire space.
Which they really don't dive deep into it of what he can really do in this one. But he's able to basically slash your heart out, pull it out, and it's in sort of this like jelly container, and you have no heart, but you're still alive because your heart's still connected to you because people can squeeze it or hurt it.
It hurts you, yeah.
And they've been using that all the way up to Wano, this thing with hearts and controlling people and what Law does. But yeah, he has all these hearts of different pirates, and it's crazy. It's pretty cool power, though.
It's really, really powerful.
Is this where he fucks up all of the G5 guys?
Yeah, he picks their ship up and turns it upside down and drops it on them. He cuts them all in half. He cuts Tashigi in half.
And let me just say that the voice of Matt Mercer is just on point for Trafalgar Law. At least I think so. I think he's so good. Damn cool.
He's good.
I think after watching this, I was walking around just saying room over and over to everybody in my house. And they're like, what? It's so cool the way he does it. I love the hand motions because he has, death written on his hands because he's a surgeon to death.
Yeah.
I just think Law is one of the coolest fucking characters around. The way he looks, the way he acts, everything he does. He's phenomenal in this arc.
He's cool. He's very cool.
Mm-hmm. And then what? Him and Luffy make an alliance.
Yeah, so there's so much stuff that goes on. Nami's crew, they end up finding the kids. That like some of them are giants, some of them aren't that big. Mm-hmm. You come to find out that Caesar has just been experimenting on them. Mm-hmm. So the kids decide finally that Nami kind of convinces them that they shouldn't stay there. And they decide they want to go home, and so because they were kidnapped like a year ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And so Nami like kind of breaks down, and she's like, "We can't just leave them here. We've got to rescue these kids." So there's the kids thing that they're trying to get the kids out of there. There's a bunch of fighting going on. There's two friggin' giant Yeti assassins.
That part was really strange.
Yeah.
You never really saw them, and then they kind of just went away.
Yeah.
They work for Caesar. And they were real quick and real, like, tough. They fucked up Zoro.
Yeah.
I think the key point of them all in here was Fishman Island, you get reintroduced to the new Straw Hats.
Yeah.
Right? And they're all brand new, and they go down there, and they kind of fight, and it's easy. When they get here, they really get... Because you're really now in the new world, and they take some losses here. Yeah, it's a rude awakening. They take some early losses to the point where Zoro kind of tells Luffy at one point, skipping ahead a little, like, Luffy, we're done with this losing shit. Like, no more of this. Like, we're better than this. We're off to a terrible start in a new world. And, we're getting distracted. We're getting split. We're getting hurt. Like, we're done losing. He's like, okay, like, we're done losing. Like, we got to get our shit together, which plays on, I think that Zoro speech plays on later on into Dressrosa. And we'll get to that point there.
Yeah.
But one other thing I wanted to mention in here is, and we could maybe skip around a little bit here, but the main thing with these kids is you're starting to see a part of a whole criminal underworld.
Yes.
You're starting to see how this is all connected, that there's a person named Joker. Joker hired Caesar. Caesar's experimenting on kids. And you're like, what for? There's artificial devil fruits possibly being made. There's a lot of stuff here that they're giving you a good heads up into of basically, since Whitebeard's been gone, this new world is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, 2 admirals just destroyed a whole entire island and had a fight. Blackbeard's running wild. You got Joker running.
He's now an emperor.
Joker's running wild, doing all this underground criminal stuff. And it's pretty insane that how bad the world has gone since Whitebeard left. He really kept a lot of this new world under his thumb.
Yeah. People were afraid to cross him, and I think this operation has been going on too long. That this was the Smile Factory and the shit that Caesar's doing here. This was kind of going on under the radar, under like out of Whitebeard's views, because this operation has been going on way too long for it to have just started when Whitebeard died. So and then we get into I mentioned the Smile Factory. So one of the things that Caesar created was this ginormous slime monster,
which is really weird.
Then he called him Smiley.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this slime monster, basically, it kills you instantly. Basically, if it touches you, it's crazy. Well, yeah, it takes you out. It's ridiculous.
It shows you that Caesar is a very dangerous man, not only just from his powers, but he's they kind of introduce you that there's certain people in the world that are very smart. You have that Dr. Vegapunk guy.
Yep.
Who made the Pacivistas, very smart, made weapons for the military. And this guy, Caesar, with all the stuff he can do, very powerful for the underworld leaders and the emperors and the bad people. And he's got some power to himself. Like, his gas has fruits kind of.
Yeah, and he learned. He kind of worked with Vegapunk before this. And then they caused that giant explosion.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I think. And that was how the slime monster came to be, was that giant explosion.
Right.
So there was a lot going on with that. So then we meet, as things are playing out, different groups are fighting different people. Law is in the compound trying to get Chopper infiltrated so Chopper can learn about like a cure and how to cure these kids.
The children that they're trying to make these children large.
Yeah,
which plays in later on. They're trying to grow like giants.
Yes, so that the Navy could have a whole fleet of giant Marines.
Yeah, soldiers, which is fucking weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
What in the hell was that sound?
But anyway, Law runs into Virgo, who is wearing a Navy uniform.
Yep. He's a Navy officer.
But he is clearly a bad guy.
He's clearly a bad guy. And he's actually working for Joker, who we find out is one of the 7 warlords, Don Quixote del Flamengo.
Yes.
He's the power broker that's supplying weapons. He has a lot of power and stuff with the government. And Virgo's one of his family members, even though Virgo is undercover, but Virgo's bad, which it was easy to figure out.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the great thing about Virgo? Whatever he eats is left on his face because he's a slobber eater. It's things like that, and it's like, what? Why did that have to be in there? You know, like, Virgo's a badass, whatever. We got to give him one little thing to make fun of. And I don't know, I think when you see his story later on in Dressrosa, like, and I just always thought Virgo was cool. The food thing never bothered me. At first, I was like, what is on his face that's annoying? Then I was like, yeah, that's his Virgo's thing.
Yeah, you kind of get used to it. It's one of the things that you just kind of have to accept with this show. That
it's one piece.
Sometimes you're gonna get some stuff that's just silly for the sake of being silly.
Right.
So then we meet, or I think we've met before, but we kind of get a confrontation with Monet, the Harpy girl.
Yeah, who has a weird devil fruit power.
The snow fruit or something like that.
She's light version of Aokiji.
Yeah, basically, you're right.
Why she's a harpy, I have no idea. I still don't have any idea. If she was experimented on by Caesar, because I don't know what a harpy has to do with being snow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if maybe there's just a race. I think there's just a race of harpy people somewhere in the world.
Yeah, there's always a weird race of that. But yeah, she has her freezing power and all that, which is a good fight.
Yeah,
she's a good villain for what she lasted for. You know.
Yeah, and she almost took Luffy out. He had to think outside the box, and and so as part of this fight, she traps him in like 10 layers of an ice igloo snow thing. Yeah. And so Luffy does, I don't know if it was his Gum Gum Bazooka, I can't remember how exactly he does it, but he ends up breaking through the floor and ends up in like this trash dump area where he meets Momonosuke.
Now, the thing with Momonosuke is when we met Kinemon earlier, it's revealed at the time that Momonosuke is his son. He's looking for him.
Yes. But when we meet Momonosuke, he is a dragon.
He's a dragon, which is going to come into play later on because he had a man-made devil fruit.
Yes.
That he ate. And that's why. And then when he gets scared, he turns into this like pink dragon. Yeah. Which kind of flies, but not really flies. And it's a whole thing with little Momo.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But Momo and Luffy are buddies.
Yeah.
So they end up getting their way out. And then a big fight. Everybody's trying to, escape the gas. Caesar let the smiley monster thing go. It's kind of turning into gas, and it's infiltrating the building. That's kind of thanks to Zoro, because Zoro and the crew are all stuck outside, so Zoro just cuts the big door in half so that they can get in.
And I think a good point here is this is where, because Smoker's here. Smoker and Virgo have a really good fight, but Virgo wins. But this is where Smoker, I think, and Tashigi really see that the Straw Hats. You saw this in Alabasta, that he realized they are not bad people.
Yeah.
But even in here, because there's a scene where Tashigi's about to die and Sanji saves her.
Yep.
Because Sanji hears like a girl crying or whatever.
Oh yeah, he comes from like halfway across the.
Yeah, and like they're sacrificing and risking their own lives to save Marines, to save them, and it sort of gives Smoker the more of the idea of like, these guys are not bad people. Like the Straw Hats are on your side, which he kind of knew before, but he's a military guy,
He's very similar to Garp. Like, there's I just saw a thing earlier where, when Garp goes down at Impel Down before, Ace's whole incident, and he's telling Ace about Luffy, and he says how proud he is of him. Mm-hmm. But he's still a filthy pirate, and you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of how I see Smoker. Like, Smoker can see that they're not that good, but so far it doesn't matter. they're pirates and they're wanted and they need to go down.
Yeah. But it's good. There's some good interactions there with Tashigi and Sanji, and a lot of the Straw Hats being Straw Hats, rescuing people, helping the Marines out. I think that part's good as they're trying to escape this annoying gas, which is just spreading all over the place.
Yeah, it's also in this time when Chopper goes Monster Point. He eats his Rumble Ball.
Rumble Ball
goes to his Monster Point form so that he can try and hold the kids back because they're trying to get back.
Mm-hmm.
They've been basically what it amounts
to.
They're
addicted to drugs.
They're addicted to drugs.
Yeah,
that Caesar has been giving them, calling it candy, and so there's one little girl. She's a giant. She's not really all that little. Who figures out that Chopper's really trying to help him, and so she decides that she's going to help Chopper. So she takes the candy and runs, and Chopper's trying to hold the kids back. That doesn't end well.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where she can't get in away anymore, so she just eats all the candy herself.
Yeah, which is fucking dark. There were some dark parts in
there were stuff here.
Kids going. You saw like little kids that are like giants, and they were going through fucking withdrawals.
Yeah,
like scratching and fighting, getting angry, flipping out. And you're like, man, if you had a drug problem, you're watching this show to like get away from it. You're
trigger
like,
warning.
Trigger warning. So that was kind of nuts.
Yeah. So we finally get to the point where Luffy is in the final fight against Caesar. Mm-hmm. Well, no, we should talk about the first fight, because the first fight Caesar actually beats him. He uses his gas fruit power to essentially suck all the oxygen out of like a 10-meter area, and the people fighting him just pass out. They can't.
And that's after then Zoro after that one gives him the no more losing, knock this shit off,
Yeah.
And that's what you're gonna see with Luffy throughout the next arcs in this new world arc, is like his refusal to lose. And you're going to see more into his training and what he went through in those 2 years and everything that he kind of like came up with and like tried out and practiced on, and it's just a refusal not to lose. It's I'm not losing this fight. Like, I'm going to figure out a way.
Yeah.
One of those things is trying out new moves like Grizzly Magnum.
Yeah. So we have this new Grizzly Magnum move, which is so bizarre, but it's basically a variation of his
bazooka,
third gear bazooka, where he does his armament. He blows his arms way up, both of them, makes them both huge, gets them in kind of a claw configuration, does his armament hockey to both of them, and then just starts running with his arms like 100 yards behind.
Yeah, leaves them behind. Building that sort of momentum, that way when they hit and they pull them forward, they're coming forward even more.
Yeah.
And then he makes sort of like claw hands with it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like fucking destroys you. It's funny when you watch these shows and you're watching and you see the preview like on Funimation, and it'll be like, the next, Luffy does this, Grizzly Magnum. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's next? And you get to it and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a good move. So now, Caesar's defeated. They're trying to escape. The gas is permeating through the entire facility. They figure out that they can take these giant train car things out to a port on the outside of the island. So they're trying to do that. While they're like on the trams trying to get out, Frankie has left.
He went and got the Sunny.
He went to get the Sunny.
Do you remember how he went and got the Sunny?
Yes.
He was doing that fart rocket thing or whatever.
The fart rocket.
Yeah, and he flew away. Nami loved that one.
Yeah, that was special. Robin, I think, had a negative reaction to that one as well.
Yeah, well, Frankie's like that. He's special, but he's sitting out on the Sonny by himself when those two assassins from Dressrosa show up.
Yeah, we got Baby 5, who her devil fruit she can turn into any kind of weapon.
Let me just say, I fucking love Baby 5 so much. Buffalo's annoying. He's just like a big airplane. But
Yeah.
Baby 5, when they first introduce you to it, Baby 5's little trope that they do is she falls in love instantly.
Yes.
And she fell in love with a guy, and Doflamingo had him killed. So she shows up to kill Doflamingo.
And he's just like, flicking her off, and she
has a great devil fruit. I mean, she can turn into all kind of weapons and stuff. And she goes off, and she's just like, okay. He just gives her another order, and she's like, okay. And like, you tell her a compliment, and she'll be like, oh, like you kind of like me now,
Yeah.
I love those tropes that they do with people, and she's like flying on Baby 5. It's a cool scene when they show up. She's flying on Buffalo, she's shooting. But they come across General Frankie.
General Frankie, that giant ass suit of armor.
Love it. And he fends them all off. They can't stop him.
No. General Frankie's invincible.
He's a badass.
So
it gives you your first introduction to the Don Quixote family.
Yes.
They all wear his logo. They all have his symbol. But yeah, that part's cool.
Yeah. And as they retreat, and they call Doflamingo and tell him like, hey, we couldn't get Caesar back. It's Straw Hat Crew and Law have teamed up. They've got Caesar. The Marines are here. This is a bad situation. So Dofi just takes off and starts his little skywalk.
Takes off skywalking and like pulling. Apparently in this arc, the string fruit can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's like vibranium in the Black Panther movie. Like they can use vibranium to cure you, to fix it, to make you stronger. His strings can attach to clouds, and he can pull himself along on clouds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so we're just doing anything we want with the string fruit, right?
Yeah.
What is little penny loafers on?
Oh God, I hate his shoes. The whole outfit, I'll get by. I wish he wasn't wearing fucking culottes.
Yeah.
But he is 9.5 feet tall, so
yes.
Tough to get pants that long.
Yes.
But yeah, the penny loafers with those pants just drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good. This is where then Law makes him that deal that if he retires as a warlord, he'll give him Caesar.
Yep.
He'll meet him in Dressrosa and he'll give him Caesar, which of course Dolphy's a liar. But they make a little deal. Dolphy resigns. But the great moment for me at the end of here, which was at the end of this arc here, I was kind of like, all right, let's get to Dressrosa. Like, this is taking a little bit of time. They're sitting around talking to the pirates. They're doing all that. But then Dolphy just shows up on Punk Hazard, and they're all like, fuck.
Well, but the Straw Hats have already gone, and Law have already gone.
They left.
So it's Smoker and the G5 Marines that are still there waiting for a pickup.
And he starts fucking them up, and he's going to kill Smoker.
Yeah.
And then in great One Piece storytelling, then all of a sudden Aokiji shows up. And you're like,
where the fuck did he come from?
and like, where did he come from? And you could see that, like, you see a lot of things with like power levels like that. Like he showed up and Dolphy was like, okay, I'm not fighting Aokiji. Like, all right.
Yeah.
He's an admiral. Like he's got some power.
But when he shows up, he is no longer an admiral.
He's no longer an admiral. He gave it up.
Because he lost his duel to Akaino and refused to submit to his power.
Yeah. Well, I think you see with him that you always got shades of him earlier on, that he's not a bad guy, Aokiji.
No.
He's like Garp and the rest of them. He is what it is. Like one thing with Garp is Garp never wanted to be an admiral. Garp could have been an admiral because Garp was a badass. But Garp didn't want to be an admiral because he didn't want to have to bow down to celestial dragons and be at their beck and call. He hates that system. He hates that they treat people like slaves. So, but he's a military guy. Aokiji's the same way. Like he'll do what he needs to do, but he understands that there's gray area.
Yep.
He helped Robin. So he's done with this at that point. He's kind of going out on his own.
Except we find out that he's not on his own. But I don't think we find that out till Dressrosa.
Yeah,
officially.
But we can say it here. He's
So
hanging out with the Blackbeard pirates.
Which boggles my mind. I
don't understand yet. And let me tell you what, I'm in Wano. They haven't even touched on it again since. They haven't even mentioned it since.
I mean, obviously it's going to come back at some point.
Yeah, at some point you're going to have to I don't know why he would join them. I don't understand that, but he must have his reason. Maybe he's trying to take him down from the inside or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, there are so many. Like, once you get to here, you start seeing like all these freaking double agents.
Yeah, you see that a lot. Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, and you just see lots of layers to like. All right, tell me more about Aokiji. Like, what's happening with him?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You'll get it. And if you again, we talked about this episodes before. If you're watching this shit live, you're like, okay, it's been 8 years. When am I gonna see Aokiji? I mean, for me, it's been a month or so since I've seen him. You know, but you 20 days earlier. You know, but you're at this point, you're like, if you've been watching that long, you must forget all about that character.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen Blackbeard either. So
I almost want to find somebody who's been watching this since it debuted in '99 and talk to them. Just be like, how the hell did you deal with this on a week-to-week basis, not knowing what's coming?
How did you watch? If you watched Dressrosa, it was like 3.5 years. So when the Straw Hats split, you just didn't see Sanji and Nami and the rest of them for 3 years. Like you just were okay with that. Like, oh, I don't know. Those voice actors were like, all right, I guess we're not getting any work. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. That's their thing they start doing now, past Punk Hazard, is Straw Hats together for Fishman, Straw Hats together for Punk Hazard. Now they start splitting them.
Yep.
And they split them for long periods of time. So that's that one. Real quick in between there's the Caesar retrieval arc because he gets captured by another pirate. Who's that guy's name?
Who has Breed. Weird ass devil fruit.
Turns I don't know people into pets.
Yeah, basically slaves. He puts a collar on them and they have to do whatever he says.
Yeah.
And when you first meet him, he's got all these animals working for him. And we get reintroduced to the dugong, the fighting seals that they met, back in Alabasta?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And the Kung Fu dugong, who was the main, the leader of this fighting seal group, who trained with Luffy, is one of their prisoners. Luffy and Law go to get him back. You know, 2 devil fruit users. They end up in the water at some point. Like the whole this little 3-4 episode arc was filler, but it
was 4 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. But Luffy and Law end up beating this guy and freeing all of his slaves and getting Caesar back. So it was, just a quick little filler arc between Punk Hazard and Dressrosa.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to stop there and do this in 2 parts?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's end. We'll do part 1 here, and then we'll go into Dressrosa, and we'll get a 2-parter for this big ass saga.
Okay, so we'll end Punk Hazard and all that here, and then when we come back with our next video, we'll tackle the Dressrosa arc. We're doing arcs now, not sagas. We're doing arcs.
Because they're getting big.
They're getting big. So we'll see you next time for that one. I'll probably in a few days you'll see it out. We'll get this one out first. And then we'll talk about Dressrosa, as Kiros would say it. Yeah. See you then. Later.